actually wanted to IPO about, I don't even remember. It was like 2 years ago. Circle was gonna IPO. So they were gonna originally IPO for like 9 billion too. So it was gonna be almost double of what their IPO was. So that seemed like a thing. And then, like you said, digital, they just increased the IPO price this year over like a couple days. And then it made you, and then there was this other ingredient of all the people who bought it in the private market, because you were able to still buy it on like equities in and some of these private markets. There's kind of, if you're if you're allowed to invest in them, they're mostly for like accredited investors. But if you go on equities, then you can check out what they offer, and it's like companies that are not on the public market, and it's cool ones too, like Circle. And they were offering it for about like $14 to $19, and it was going up a little bit. But I thought it was weird that it was the market cap was kept so low for IPO. So that was one red flag. It seemed like a lot of private investors had went through a lot of with them, right? It seemed like they've been through a lot, and they had like 60% of the shares being offered on IPO day were from private investors who were like waiting to unload their shares. And that's what IPOs are for, by the way. Anyways, it's like it's an exit for the people who invested when this shit was pennies, right? So it's like, yes, we are going to get some wins, and the public company takes you on a whole nother ride, but some people are not in it for that, and they don't even like investing in public companies. So this IPO was like for them to get out of it, which is so weird, because it was like, why would you want to get out of this company? And so there was a lot of weird stuff. So they dumped it, but because retail wanted it so much, everybody didn't even get allocated their full amount, which, I mean, wow, we would have really walked away. I was talking about this pretty early too, writing threads, and my wife and my mother-in-law got hooked up with it. I'm sure they sold some, and they're holding some still, but they didn't get allocated their full amount either. And it's IPO season. These are all signs too that we're in a bull market for sure. You know, Arrow, I think it 3x'd the drone company. It 3x'd on its IPO. Like everything that has IPO recently has been like knock out the parks, right? So I mean, paying attention to all this stuff is super important to me. I'm looking at it, and I didn't sell any of my recent Arrow purchase because I was assigned for that IPO, because they told me that digital, like, oh, if I sell it, then I can't participate in any IPOs for the next 60 days. And I think there's way more crypto IPOs coming than we think, man. I'm pretty sure Gemini is setting up. There's some rumors that they are. Kraken as well. All of the ones that are on the private market right now that are crypto, and people are trying to find ways to like get out of their shares or whatever the case is. Everyone kind of sells for different reasons, right? But Kraken, Gemini, I mean, these are all in our fence right here. This is the same thing of like looking at Circle, Coinbase, Robinhood. Like this is that park. So pay attention for those IPOs, because if we are in the bull market that I think we are in, those are easy 10x's too. And they might even have more like a more stable business model than Circle. Circle will be punished when the rates go down low, because they make a lot of money on the backed assets, on the reserves. You know, while you're trading USDC or somebody's trading it, there's reserves for it, and they're making money on investing that and using that. So yeah, that's just something to look at. Is like there's a bunch of crypto stuff that we all still might have more alpha than the Wall Street guys, and this is our opportunity to like really get in. And I would even encourage some of you guys to look at the private markets and stuff, and maybe you can fit the figure to be like, you know what, I can afford 10K on equities then, and instead of putting 10K in your public market, and then you get to experience the IPO from the other side of like having the shares before they were ever allocated to people, and yada yada. So it's a lot to talk about, but it's what a time to be alive in crypto.
Yeah, bro. Man, you put that perfectly, my guy. And I didn't know it was trading on a private market already too. That's good information. I'm glad you pointed that out. Um, and yeah, and just like you said, the IPO thing. That's why it's like I honestly, that's my first IPO to invest that I've invested in too, bro. Because of that, because most IPOs, when I think of an IPO, I'm thinking it. You know, I look at it the same way like I look at when a crypto first gets listed on an exchange. It's going to have an initial pump, and then it's going to, retrace heavily, almost erasing all those gains. So it's like, I usually just stay away from the IPOs and see what happens. But I don't know. This one just hit different when I seen it go to its IPO phase, and I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and just get in there because I almost didn't at one, but I don't know. Like I said, this one was just hitting my gut different. And one thing I've learned about investing and just life, period, is always follow your gut. Listen to your gut instincts, man. They're definitely there for a reason. So yeah, that ended up playing out good. And also, like you said, bro, I did a little short called IPO Craze on my YouTube channel because I have the same opinion, bro. Like I feel like we haven't seen it all yet. And Kraken is definitely one I'm paying attention to. I just pulled up something. It says that they're looking for the potential to release soon as Q1 in 2026. I take that with a grain of salt because I don't know if that's like 100%, but so sometime 2026. And Gemini for sure too is looking. I guess they already proposed it to the SEC and everything. So
Yeah, I think they did
yeah,
that
I'm
one on the
looking.
hush hush, right? I'm pretty sure they filed that on the hush hush, but like people are sleuths and they'll find that stuff. It's like it's because we're in crypto, we know how to look at the blockchain. These guys thought they were going to get away with some like secret little regulation path, and was like, no, these guys will look at the blockchain. They're not going to get confused looking at some paper trail, like that's an easy website login. So yeah, you're killing it too, because I agree with that. It's like if IPO and private markets are just like the main exchanges, bro. It's just like if you got in on a coin when it was the contract address, that's the private market. When it got into Coinbase and all the regular people can buy it with their credit cards, that's the public markets. And yes, you get those pumps and all that. I actually invested in a Robinhood, unfortunately, at IPO, and then we fell all the way down to like $8, and I just kept buying, and I just kept reevaluating my thesis, and the company got better, and they made it through GME. And like you said, digital, follow your gut, because that shit really is something you should lead with in investing, where it's like, if your gut says something, there's probably something there. It's like, you're not just looking at this for no reason. Pull up the finances, find the reason that your gut is telling you, oh, this is good. And I think then you can double down too. I feel like the gut is just that first hunch of like, make your move. But then, yeah, if I would have did even more research on Circle, I would have probably tried to get it on some other accounts too. I wouldn't have just thought Robinhood would allocate to me. I would have probably been like, you know what, I need to be a part of this. Let me jump on E-Trade. Let me jump on another exchange and try to go after this. But, it is what it is. I try to be hyper focused on some of my picks because I'm mostly an index investor. But Circle's exciting, bro. And congrats on holding that shit too, because it's tough. It's tough when you're in traditional markets and you see a 5x, 6x, 7x that don't happen every day, and you're bagging. You're literally on your way to a 10 bagger without like much effort. So that's awesome. Good shit.
Yeah, bro, I appreciate it. And yeah, bro, I noticed you're on your stuff too, man. It's dope meeting somebody else that also is aligned with crypto and the traditional market. It's a good combination, bro. That's like, like we said before, there's too many people who are still so one-tracked and so close-minded. And me personally, I'm just like, man, you're leaving money on the table. You know what I mean? Because it's like there's so much going on, man, and so much to look up. The investing environment changes. It changes, and it's changed a lot, especially since 2025 was when it really started hitting. Because honestly, you know as well as I do, like it was only like a year or two ago, maybe closer to 2 years now, that crypto was still getting shunned, and that you had Gary Gensler suing anything he could, even if it didn't make sense. Literally, I'm pretty sure there was a point Coinbase was looking to take their business over, elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? Out of the United States and all that, because it was so, vicious. Like it was all bad. You know what I mean? But it's like for the ones who held through it and kept, their faith in it, it's like, bro, I'm still tripping out on how everything's going. You know what I mean? Like it still trips me out to this day, dog. Like, because like I said, I've been in long enough to see the signs, and that's why I'm able to pick the picks I'm picking, is because like I've been watching this for a long time and paying attention since way before any of this was like possible. You know what I mean? Because man, in the past you didn't know what if something you were holding was going to be a part. Like you remember XRP when it was dealing with those lawsuits, that suppressed it bad. Like you know what I'm saying? And there's people who held through that, and it's like like not just a bear market, but it was probably one of the worst bear markets because like you had all the what's his name, Sam Bankman-Fried and his scammy stuff on top of everything else that was knocking crypto down, and the SEC was knocking crypto down, and it was crazy, man. But yeah, it's a trip to see where we are now, and I'm excited to see the future, man. You know what I mean? Because yeah, there's a lot of stuff brewing, man, and I'm determined to keep doing my part to bring it to the people, that are that follow me and are close to me, and see the opportunity that's on the table, man. Because there's opportunities in both worlds, stocks, crypto. I don't shun or shame nothing. Just get after it any way you can, man.
Hey, whoever's involved with Circle has had a pretty good month. I'm going to read a couple stats. I'm going to circle back to something I asked. But for the last week, Circle is up over 117%. And for the month, since it's IPO'd, it's up 188.69%. That is just wild. Wild. But I want to circle back because I want to make sure I get this right for who asked for our friend. If someone just wanted to download an app to get involved with crypto, would they just download Coinbase and they could buy their coins on there and keep them stored there, or do they have to buy a cold storage and take them and off of Coinbase? That's my question.
Yes, I'm glad you circled back to that because I meant to answer that more thoroughly too. Um, I think Coinbase, like to start, definitely start with Coinbase because it's like more user friendly, like for beginners and simple. You know what I mean? To learn how to maneuver, and even send receipt. Like Coinbase even offers where you can earn crypto for just answering quizzes and stuff, and they're simple quizzes. And it even lets you take multiple turns if you get it wrong until you get it right, and you still get the crypto. So it's like it's very good for beginners to get in there, earn some free tokens, and the free ones you earn, use those to mess around with and trade into other things, and so you're not even losing no real money. You're just taking what you earned on the crypto quizzes, and you're learning that way. So worst case, if you lose it, sending it wrong or in trading it into something that doesn't do as good, it's not going to hit you as hard. So there's more ways to learn and to play around with it without even using real money right away. Um, and as far as cold storage devices, I can speak on the one that I've used from the gate, and that's Ledger. And with Ledger, you buy the device, and then once you buy the device, it gives you, you can, it gives you directions on how to set it up. And I know who you're talking about too. So yeah, I'm more than willing to give, I'll do a video too, and send anything I need to send for them to make sure it's done right. Um, but yeah, cold storage is the safer route because at the end of the day, even with as much faith in I have in Coinbase, there are crypto exchanges that have went under that people had faith in. You know what I'm saying? Like several. So it's like, something you just always want to be cautious with on keeping too much on Coinbase. So like I recommend a Ledger device. I'm sure Venturer or Eddie, I don't know if you guys, I know Venturer, I think you got a Ledger, I believe, too. I can't remember.
Oh, I got
Anyways, if
a.
you go
Oh, my
ahead.
bad. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I know I got a tangent, but somebody gifted that to me, and it's been working. Ironically, I got my cold wallet from crypto groups, but yeah, I've been listening to what you guys saying about Circle and everything. Like it doesn't hurt to be diversified. I don't really consider myself a shark in a way, but I see that it's just liquidity out here in so many ways, and not in like a toxic way of I'm taking all the money or it's that we out here to take everybody's money, but like just from just being a smart investor and understanding, like I say, stocks, crypto. Some people even might, they might not say real estate, a lot of different things. There was a house at the end of my grandmother's block. It sat there for 20 years. Somebody bought it for 5K and flipped it for 120K in 2 years. I'm like, it's a lot of money in a lot of different places. And going back to what Eddie was saying about the IPOs and those things like that, I'm already looking at the next play because I got in the circle with digital. So I'm already thinking like, okay, how can I capitalize on this even better next time? Because the history is gonna repeat and they're gonna keep doing they IPO dance. They look like IPOs or just these companies unloading on this side. That's the new meme coin craze. That's what it's looking like because that's what it's moving like. And my introduction to stocks was always through like that FOMO craze. I don't really know how to describe it, but I came into stocks, I guess, at the right time. I was only buying BlackBerry, Nokia, AMC, and GameStop. And guess which ones went to? So everything since I got into stocks, I've always saw it move like that, but I didn't understand it. I didn't even understand what a short squeeze was or anything like that. But now it just helps me make so many parallels that it's money everywhere, all over the place. Just figuring out how to play the game a little bit better. But not necessarily a money chaser, but like Digital saying, don't leave no money on the table. And definitely don't let that mindset become so fragmented that you like, well, people can do what they want, but I don't let my mindset become so fragmented to where I refuse to see opportunities no matter where I'm at. So next time I'm looking for the next IPO, I'm trying to learn options and get ahead of the curve because I've seen some very creative things and just understanding. Shout out to Johnny and Elijah because I've always been pretty good at finding where the best opportunities are, but I've been really bad at keeping the money. So now I'm understanding like now, if I figured out these new patterns with, Elijah John, they do the ETFs, I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to understand if I can park the money in different places and just only play with my principal, now I'm what they call it, rich forever, so to speak. So now, and also understanding a lot of people don't understand the crypto side of things, and that's okay. I'm not an advocate for that at all, but I literally came in through that era. I say like touching the stove and burning my hands and losing lots of money. But I also ended up all that data ended up getting me to the point to where I could understand. It's very strategic and it's very patient, but you can turn $10 into $1,000 if you know exactly where to go and what to do, and if you're patient enough to find it. Then that's what most of my hyper diversification portfolio is. Is I understand I can take money from over here, not in a weird way, not in a greedy way, because like I say, I seen $10 turn in 1,000 in like 3 weeks, like 3 times in 1 month, over and over. And I'm like, if I was doing it the right way and I was allocating that money and I was stewarding that money the right way, I could have rolled that money easily, paid my taxes, of course, if I have to, easily still rolled that money into ETF and kept it. And just thinking about all the money I left on the table last year when I wasn't into like selling every other project, I could have easily just had a very nice size portfolio of anything, any ETF, like anything, just understanding like park the money, make the money work for you. And then once you get to these points, like now, if I try to picture like I go back to that fire movement and like all the guys that used to hold like VOO, that's the one I'm really a fan of because that's the one I watched the longest because I saw people retiring from it. And I always had that mindset of if I had so much passive income coming in, and I'm the type of person that sees opportunities when Bitcoin launched or when et cetera, IPOs, whatever. I got so much disposable income, it would be nothing for me to allocate 1% or 10% of my portfolio up to this point to just easily and steadily, like relaxingly get gains all over the board. And like I said, if you really see an opportunity, I know the Eddie said he mainly in index funds. I'm mainly, I don't know what I am, man. I see I see money and I try to learn how to park it accordingly. But my whole point is like even he understands like hey, he doesn't just leave money, like if it's something there, he could figure out how to do it and where to put it and things like that. But anyway, I don't even know if that was a question, but my mic got cut off earlier, so I just came in on that point.
No, you killed it, bro. Yeah, no, what I wanted to say. Well, there's a few things. There's like, well, like with the account situation, I like to separate how I trade and how I invest, if that makes sense. So it's like they say know when you're trading, know when you're investing. When I can't separate the accounts, then I can't separate that trade in my head. So my retirement account, which is a Roth IRA, and I think everyone should really focus on like maxing that out every year. That's very important because that's like the easiest bag that you could ever get in investing, and it's tax-free growth and distribution too. So that Roth IRA, once I locked that in, I was like, you know what? I only have index funds and Robinhood, the actual stock, because I got in there really early. So that's all I have in there because that account to me is just like it's just buy and let it go. I have another account which is a traditional IRA, so it has investing, it has tax privileges, and that's my dividend account. And so I only buy dividend stocks in there, dividend ETFs, whatever, right? And so keeping those. Sometimes I want to do something else. Sometimes I have extra cash in one place and I'm like, oh, I really want to get on this opportunity. I check my rules. I'm like, oh no, it doesn't pay a dividend. I can't, like, even if I want to do an option strategy in there, for those that don't know, like the safest ones option strategies to do are selling options, which is selling covered calls, selling cash secure puts. They're just safer because you kind of you're not like hoping something really happens. You're hoping nothing happens in a sense. So with those options, even when I'm playing them in different accounts, I have to make sure the stock that I'm playing with follows those rules too. Why? Because I can get assigned and I can end up owning those shares and stuff. So, and then my last account, which is an individual brokerage account, most people have it, and it's a very slept on account because it's like you can kind of do what you want in there. I like to do like aggressive strategy. So it's like on that account, I will buy single companies, I will buy options, sell options on single stocks, and just wheel strategy, covered calls until I'm assigned, then cash secure put until I'm assigned again. That's the wheel strategy, and just keep doing it. So that generates premium for me and income, and that's like kind of how I pay bills right now. But I like to keep these all different buckets. So it's like I have an aggressive account, and I think everyone should have a really aggressive account to like really figure some shit out. And then I have my retirement accounts, which one I utilize for the dividend, so I don't get taxed on that dividend growth. The other one is just indexing in one stock, because that's the stock that I fuck with right now. And yeah, other than that, I mean, I like those three buckets, and I like selling options instead of buying options. And I think with that strategy, I think anyone can end up on top. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, that's a much appreciated, bro. I like the way you think with that, and especially the separating the accounts thing. That's something I started recently doing too. Instead of keeping it all in one thing, you know what I mean? Like have my long term, have my my speculative, or however you say it, things that I know have the potential, but it can still go either way. And I'm only putting in what I'm willing to lose. You know what I'm saying? Then I got the 401k and all that too. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think about those. I just let those do their thing. Um, and yeah, like Venture was saying, John and Elijah or put me up on a lot of game with the ETFs and stuff. I'd like to get y'all opinion on what some of the things he was pointing out, like the Roth, and how do you guys utilize that stuff too? Because I know you guys are big on the ETFs and all that. Yeah, go ahead, Elijah.
For me, my Roth is literally like probably like pure growth. So like dividends, I don't care about. I think my Roth is like 0.57 and like dividends, and it's only that high because I have DVV in there, and that's it. But for me, my Roth is just pure growth, like SP 500 type of stuff, Nasdaq tracking. Trying to think what else I got in there. I think I have SCHG, I believe, is in there too. And so like literally I'm gearing that towards all of growth for me. And my taxable is gonna be just pretty much dividend play, probably just like income dividends and all that stuff just for like other purposes in life. And so that one, my dividend account is pretty much just on a short term path, while my Roth is like 20, 30 years out and stuff like that. While my dividends account can be used probably like next 10, 12 years if I want it to be, if I keep investing the way I am weekly. But that's kind of how I have my play set up. And then my 401k is literally same thing, just pure growth. And I might have a little international exposure because like literally why not anyway. But that's pretty much how my setup is. It's probably not really the same far as like the taxable account. Many people are like, put this in your Roth instead, but different goals and different strokes for everybody. But that's kind of how I have my investment strategy set up right now.